Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call to order the Street Lighting District Number 5 here at the Budget Committee. So I now call to order the Service District Number 5 Street Lighting Budget Committee. We will have the members of the committee please introduce yourselves. If you haven't, you have the erasable little triangle. Yeah, see something, you can put your name on there if you haven't already. But please, we'll start here. Introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning. Commissioner Mark Scholl.
Good morning, Acting Vice Chair Commissioner Ben West.
Good morning, Commissioner Martha Schrader.
Paul Savas.
Good morning, Eva Rakowska.
Good morning. Kevin Bailey.
Good morning, Ryan Founds. Good morning, Mark Osland.
Do you guys want to enter? Nope. Okay. I will now open up the floor for nominations for the chair.
I nominate Jeffrey Davis as chair.
Second.
We have a second. Jeffrey Davis has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Clerk, would you please call the poll?
Mr. Asland.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Mr. Founds.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Ms. Rakowska.
Aye.
Mr. Bailey.
Aye.
Vice Chair West.
Aye. The vote is, what is that, 9-0? Jeffrey Davis has been elected chair. Jeffrey Davis, I will now turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. I will now open the floor for nominations of secretary.
I'll nominate Mark Osland as secretary.
Second that.
Mark Osland has been nominated. Are there any more nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Rakowska.
Yes.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Mr. Founds.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Bailey.
Aye.
Mr. Asland.
Aye.
Vice Chair West.
Aye.
Chair, the result is 9-0.
I will now ask Don Johnson, Department of Transportation Development Director, to present the budget message.
Hey, thank you so much. My name is Dan Johnson. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure to meet, I'm the Director for the Department of Transportation Development. I am joined by Wendy Coriel, the Street Lighting Specialist, the brains behind the operation for the Street Lighting District. And before we begin, a heartfelt thank you to all of you for making time out of your busy day to come and join us for this budget committee. This isn't going to be a long budget, but it's a fun budget. And so you're going to wait. There's endless jokes that are about to come out here in a second. I'm going to save those about how illuminating it is. I'm trying to beat you out on it. Yeah. Real quick. So the lighting district, just so you know, is basically all the unincorporated area of Clackamas County within the UGB. We also service Happy Valley. Okay. Street lighting is provided through one of three paths. Essentially, it's divided through capital construction projects. So if the county or other entities are building projects, capital projects on roadways, there may be street lighting provided in that format. Through development, we require through our development code and other entities through our development code, namely Happy Valley, to require street lighting on the front of projects that are on major arterials and various roadways. Or citizen petition. The citizens of Clackamas County can petition us, petition the lighting district to provide streets in and around their areas. There are rates, and those rates are set, and they depend on kind of the type and the purpose of the light. is we have a variety of different light types that are out there, and we have a variety of different purposes those lights are there for. So is it residential, is it commercial, or is it industrial, et cetera? Those rates are dictated by per lot or per linear foot, et cetera. Revenues essentially these rates are essentially a special assessment on the property taxes, so that revenue then comes into the district, and the district of Wendy, essentially works with PGE to ensure that we partner with them to provide adequate street lighting along and throughout our community. I'm going to hop into the budget here. There's only a couple pages, but essentially you'll see we have, actually I'm going to hop to the next one because it's a little bit more explanatory, a little deeper. So essentially you're going to see in this budget, there are Fund 615. There are limited kind of revenues that are out there. You have you have beginning fund balance. You got charges and fees. That's the rates that we charge, okay? And that are secured through our tax partners, through our special assessment. And then we have some interest revenue that's there. But that revenue equates to about $5 million, give or take. You're going to see our materials and services expenses that are there. Essentially, that's us paying those bills out for PGE for the provision of street lighting services throughout Clackamas County, okay? And then you're going to see special payments. And I want to stop there just for 1 second. Essentially, the special payments, and this goes back some time, but historically, lighting throughout the county has been provided through lights that were owned by Clackamas County and lights that were owned by PGE. And when we did a significant change over to LED, we partnered with PGE to basically have them purchase our lights. And what that created was some money within this account, okay, that we've kind of been either doing a couple things with. One of which is not spending it down quickly because the rates for PGE can change. So we want to stabilize the rate structure for all of our ratepayers. But we've also been partnering on, where necessary or where reasonable, on some lighting projects to work with some of our capital providers to make sure adequate street lighting gets provided on some of these projects. And so you'll see there isn't necessarily a capital line here where they're they're investing in capital. It's basically a special payment or a reimbursement to those entities who are building projects that we're partnering with. And that's why it comes into the special payment category and not capital construction. A couple things, and I'm going to kind of jump to the next slide here, but we can go back if we need to. PGE is estimating about a 7% increase in the rates for the district. We've heard a lot of information in the news recently about PGE and the rate adjustments that are out there for residential, commercial, industrial. We've had a lot of experience in the past with PGE. I will tell you, the last rate increase we had was significant. It was about 15% that hit us out of the blue. They didn't communicate well with us. There's a lot more communication around this discussion, which has been great. And we've been able to kind of prepare for adjustments in the PGE rate. Right now, we're not requesting an adjustment to our rates. We have enough money within the funds currently to keep our rates flat. We also do, just for the sake of discussion, we do 5-year forecasting for all of our various funds, and we're tracking all of that. So basically, that allows for a discussion around possibly whittling down the capital investment to make sure we have more money to pay to keep our rate stabilization for out years as we look forward. Because our intent is to try to stabilize those rates and do. Our hope is to do smaller strategic increases versus large increases in any given year. Just so our ratepayers don't get hit with some unexpected increase in that rate, which unfortunately, the last time we had this, it was a pretty sizable increase. So that one kind of stung, for lack of a better word, and so we're very aware of that. So again, it talks about the 7% increase from the district, from PGE. It talks about the fact we're not looking for a rate adjustment. And then just, again, FYI, just a reminder, Option B lights, those were lights that we sold, and so we've got revenue for that, and we're stockpiling that in the monies that you see before you today. So that's about all I have right now. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Do any members of the committee have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Dan, you mentioned a possible need in the future to raise the rates, is that something that goes before the voters, or is that something that on a commercial aspect, we have the ability to adjust commercial rates?
You adopt, the Budget Committee and the Board of County Commissioners adopts a rate structure. We don't have to adopt it this year because the rates are flat. We're not doing any increase. But if there was a rate adjustment, we would, in the future, we'd be coming before this committee and subsequently the Board of County Commissioners, when the budget's approved, to adjust the rate.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Johnson, if we're with PGE 7% increase and the Budget Committee not adding a charge, are we eating into reserves? And if so, does that impinge later years?
Yes, but if you look at, actually, so there's two, I don't have this. If you look at the line item budget that you have before you today, and you look at, I mean, the difference we're talking about in the changes of fees, if you look at fiscal year 23, 24 at $2.2 million approximately, you're on the revenue side, and then 2.21, and then fiscal year 24, 25 is 2.23. There isn't a big, that's only about a $20,000, $30,000 adjustment. So it's a longer term. The answer is yes. If the rate continues to go up from PGE and our revenue remains stagnant, at some point in time, yes, those ships will cross one another.
Okay.
But that is in the out years
Okay.
for right now. Unless there's any significant, unless the trend continues for sizable increases, then we'll have to adjust accordingly. And again, our hope would be to look at that rate structure and that fee structure and do microscopic adjustments to the 1 or 2% versus like 5, 10, 15, or 20.
Okay, with that, is there a set reserve that this board wants to maintain?
We haven't talked about a reserve capacity, but right now, if you look at it, within the money that we have, hang on, we've got about we've got about one of that total dollars in reserve, the 2.1, we've got about $1.2 million of that is available to deal with rate increases going forward. Because and discussion around capital. Again, so if we keep seeing the trend with PGE to increase, our choice would be probably to reduce our investment in the capital and go back to the rate to make sure the rate structure
Okay.
is solid and secure.
The only thing I would add is that in looking at the 5-year forecast, when we're looking out at it, whenever we're looking at percentages, putting it very simply, about a 1% increase is about $20,000 to $30,000 annually. So we're always kind of looking at those percentages as they rise and kind of looking at that overall number. That's why I think that 1.2 gets us way out in the budget. So we'll closely analyze it, but it's a very good question.
And also, you guys, that revenue's increasing because there's always more projects in the district, if that makes sense. So the Board of County Commissioners, with their role with the lighting district, may add, we have 20 new developments. So those new developments are new payers into the district. And so it's not a steady apples to apples comparison too, so.
Okay.
Yeah, oftentimes we'll have lights installed, and then we'll have that electricity cost that balances it. But sometimes there is just ratepayers that are added to the district with no lighting installed. So those kind of counterbalance that amount that is increased by PGE. So that's why we have to look at it really closely annually to see what kind of additions we've had in the district.
Thank you.
One last quick question, and I know that, for once, I'm going to use the word dim. When it comes to PG's rate increases, we don't know what they're really going to do in years out, right? We know what they're going to do this year, or what their request is, but I appreciate the 5-year forecast, but it's not looking as bright as it used to.
Yes.
Just let that one sit, let that one kind of hover.
Yeah, wait for it. Let it die out. No, PGE definitely, yeah, they look at it annually, and typically it's about fall and sometime around January that we're seeing those future methodology changes that they have. They announce it to us come January each year. So you're right, we don't know until they know, they get it approved.
Chair Davis, I just wanted to say I really found this presentation enlightening. Just for you, Dan.
That's it. I appreciate you in keeping the tradition going forward.
How illuminating.
Chair Davis, I have a question. On your beginning fund balance, now, is it correct that you can't use that fund balance in the FY 24-25 fiscal year? Should you need to augment any kind of PGE increase?
Well, the dollars that you, it's more of holding those beginning fund balances for future years. And so right now, we have in reserve, so if you look at fiscal year 24-25, of the beginning fund balance of $3 million, we are holding in that reserve about $2.1 million to look at out years for rate continuity, for lack of a better word.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I just want to say thank you. This is the most questions I think we've ever gotten with the lighting district. This is awesome.
Well, let me also add, you know how I always appreciate the austerity and the concern to the ratepayer that the lighting district always is concerned with. It's most appreciated.
Thank you.
There being no more lighting jokes, I will now open the public hearing. I will begin with those present in person and then those registered on Zoom. Please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes.
Chair Davis, I do not have anyone on Zoom.
If no one else wishes to speak in person or on Zoom, I'll ask the clerk to moderate testimony via Zoom, but you indicated there's nobody on Zoom.
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you, Tony. Seeing no one else wishes to speak, I will now close the public hearing. Do any committee members have any questions or comments? Hearing nothing further, I will now entertain a motion on the budget.
I move that the Service District Number 5 Budget Committee approve the budget for fiscal year 24-25 in the amount of $5,449,676 with appropriations of $3,333,076 as presented.
Seconded, Commissioner Scholl.
Is there a second? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. It has been moved and seconded that Service District Number 5 Budget Committee approve the budget of fiscal year 24-25 in the amount of $5,449,676 with appropriations of $3,333,076 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Founds.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Mr. Bailey.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Mr. Asland.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Ms. Rakowski.
Aye.
Vice Chair West.
Aye.
Chair Davis.
Aye.
Chair, the result is 9-0.
The vote is 9-0 and the motion passes. Is there any further business before this committee? Hearing none, this committee is adjourned.